Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this week's Red Wolf Roundtable. Hi, everybody. I'm Tristan Harlan. Yes, I know what I did. It's fine. I'm Tristan Harlan here with my co-host, Cooper Miller. Cooper, how are you doing today?
I'm good here being on Red Wolf Roundtable. But, wow, Tristan, you know what? I'm going to steal the saying, words are hard sometimes, right?
Thank you. I'm no English major. I'm a big old dummy.
Yeah.
But, guys, this week we have a great show prepared for you guys. And before we get too carried away, it's time to send it to our awesome news desk correspondents. Guys, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be back this week's show. Today I'm going to be discussing the performance of our volleyball team. This past Friday, the Red Wolves traveled to South Alabama, which resulted in a loss out of 4 sets. Moving forward to Saturday, given a second chance to play the Jaguars, we lost in 3 straight sets. We are now 1-5 in conference. The next game will be this Friday at Troy at 6 p.m. Hopefully we can clean up our act for this next game. I'm really just hoping that we can maybe slow the ball down a little bit. I feel like we've had a little bit of trouble doing that so far. It's really hard when we do have a really good defensive specialist working their butts off. And we do have good offense, but we just need to kind of tie it in together. How do you feel about this week, James?
I agree. We've started off the season really hot on offense and defense, basically on both sides of the ball. Whitlock and Helzer still being the anchor for that offense, but I feel like we have definitely fell off here in Sunbelt play on the defensive side. And we have faced some great teams, but some of these games I feel like we've let ourselves go and really let it get away from us, and we really need to pick it back up quick because we're 1-5. And
yes, for sure.
So
it's hard to dig that ball up when we're not slowing it down. So they do have really strong offenses in the Sun Belt Conference, and we need to make sure that we're getting touches on them when we can.
All right, so we're ready to hop into some A-State soccer?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So on Thursday, the Arkansas State women's soccer team won their match against Troy. The score of that match was 2-1. And moving forward to Sunday, the Red Wolves continued Sun Belt Conference play. They would face off against Georgia State, and the match would finish in a draw. A-State will return to action on October 15th as they face ULM at A-State Soccer Park. That match will be live on ESPN Plus and the EAB network. So going back to that Troy game, a 2-1 win. Summit Dan, she had her first goal of the season. We outshot Troy 14-7, and Olivia Luther, who was the tale of the story in both of these games, she had 2 stops in the Troy game. And moving on to Georgia State, she had 9 saves, and she has just been named, currently before the show, Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Week. So now we're 4-5-3-2, 2-2 as an overall record. And we faced a pretty good Georgia State team, 7-2-4, 3-1-1. I feel like we're still struggling to find the offense in some games, and our defense is the anchor in some games, and then it's vice versa. Our defense,
it's not always all on.
It's not always a well put together game,
That's
and
for
feel like that's kind of why we fall in some games or we lose close matches, because none of our games that we've lost have really been blowouts,
Bad
so
losses,
to speak.
yeah.
They've just been losses because we couldn't score a goal or we didn't stop a goal. So I feel like it's always a tale of 2 halves. And I kind of have a question for the group here. So does the match, this match against Georgia State really help you believe that we can still compete for this Sun Belt Conference Championship? Anybody who wants to take it away?
Well, James, I'll put it to you this way. It seems like when we're at home, we thrive and we play great soccer, but it's just something where it's when you're on the road, and there's a lot of elements that go into a road game, and especially with this one, you go back to that Troy game for a second, and that game really wasn't going to be played there for a while, but after Troy got there, they decided to just let them go. So my biggest thing with that is we arguably have the best goalkeeper in the Sun Belt Conference, and our forwards. It's really good to see this team, how they operate. Coach Dooley, he's really kind of kept the team in a lock, and shout out to that team because they've gone through a lot really, and they've really succeeded. And I really think despite the couple draws that they've had this season, it will hurt them in the long run, but there's no reason why this soccer team can't win the Sun Belt Conference.
Yeah, and it's just going to, as time go on, this is a very young team. Yes, you have that veteran leadership here and there, but overall, the team as a whole, it's a young team. So as they get going through conference play, we're seeing it. The offense is finally able to pick up with the 2-1 win against Troy. Because lately, our defense has really been the only thing to brag about. And it's hard to win games when you play a defensive style in soccer when they have 10 shots on goal compared to our 3. But if we can just start attacking more, getting more corner kicks, getting more shots on goals, we might find ourselves doing real well in the conference championship run.
Right, and Hannah, I'll let you kind of put your 2 cents in here in a second, but the thing really comes down to is who can strike at what pivotal moment in the match, and the same thing goes for any sporting event when it comes to Arkansas State athletics. Any team here has kind of the same running problem. It's called the A-State way. When they get down to the point of it, they just either they choke or they just don't know what they need to do to kind of finish out that contest and really capitalize on a win. So my biggest thing is kind of returning your question with a question of my own is how many times can they strike on those pivotal moments like Cooper mentioned, the corner kicks, or even when the ball's perfectly lined up on the goal where the goalkeeper's not really in position to make that save. But Hannah, I'll let you kind of make your point. James, I kind of want to hear what you have to say as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree. We can't really, put it all together in one game. It's always, like James said, one day we're really good at offense, one day we're really doing good at defense. And just, I think having a young team is kind of plays a part in that. They come off and they're fresh, they're nervous. They're probably also not used to playing with the people that they're playing with. So, you just got to get that, family bond going with this team. And I think that we're going to, progress as the season keeps going. Like, I have a lot of hope for this team.
I agree. It's going to take a execution tool. I'm going to put it in that way.
They tied with Georgia.
Yeah, they just tied with Georgia State. I mean, it's not that we're not good. We are a decent team. It's just we have to buy in and just play a complete soccer match. Like Coop said, the corner kicks, getting it to our strikers, making sure that we can get the ball inside the goal. So, I mean, hey, we just got to keep executing and just play a complete soccer match. And back to you, Juicebox and Tristan. So, you guys.
I almost forgot that was your nickname, Cooper, because I haven't called you Juicebox in so long, and your name's in my phone is Juicebox. But, yeah, I mean, the soccer team, they've got a lot of upkeep. They got a lot of promising players on the team. They still got a long schedule ahead of them.
They do.
And it's nothing to really worry about now. You still got a little bit of time before the tournament really starts. But my biggest thing is when they see the pitch this coming week here at home, I really want to see how Darby Stotts kind of operates and how Aaliyah Williamson really does, and even Summit Dan to the extent because, like I said, there's no reason why we can't be one of the best teams in the Sun Belt. Like I said, we have the best goalkeeper, we have some of the best strikers, and it's really one of those things where, how long until it goes? Mm-hmm. How long until you see Arkansas State play their brand of soccer? And like I said, it goes the way for any sport here.
Yeah, if they can get it to Aaliyah Williamson, she's having a career here at Arkansas State. She's played very well, but we need to see the team as a whole try to get her more involved. She's been here. She knows the offense. She knows what Coach Dooley wants. So if we can get her on an open run, get an outside pass to her, she can be deadly right close to the goal.
Right. Well, Cooper, we're going to take a timeout real quick. When we come back, we're going to recap the monstrosity that was the Troy game. Stick around, guys. We'll be right back after this.
ASU-TV, covering all your favorite sports. From Red Wolf Roundtable to Westside football and more, ASU-TV has you covered. Tune in now to ASU-TV for news and coverage on these sports and more.
And welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV. Now it's time to talk about the disappointing loss of Troy.
Yeah, it was another 37-3 loss, and I say another 37-3 loss because if the score sounds familiar, it kind of was, because week 2 we lost to Memphis 37-3, and you know what? It was a terrible game. If you just see the stats, I mean, we had only 203 yards. We did have 11 first downs, but we were 4 for 16 on third downs, and they were almost 50% on third downs.
Right, and it goes to kind of thing which, the biggest thing that you're going to see here, and it's not really listed, and it's one of those things that you just got to have an eye for football to understand. When it comes to the game, like, you could talk about all the stats you want, and you're going to see the highlights on your screen now. And shout out Mackenzie Cutler for that awesome final score graphic, by the way. But, you don't necessarily, you're not going to see it in the stat book, but the one thing that you really got to understand is this team, this Arkansas State team, they came in that whole week leading up to the game. They thought and they knew that they were going to win this ball game. And when they got there, you got to look at that young talent, and a lot of them realized, oh no, we've never seen some of these guys play. And kudos to Troy. A lot of those guys on that team are going to be playing on Sundays. Let's just be honest with ourselves. So when you got a lot of young guys playing on your side of the ball, and they're seeing these guys that, like I said, are going to be playing on Sundays, a lot of them kind of get nervous and they kind of get scared. But, when you have veteran leadership like a Jeff Foreman who's seen almost every one of these corners, how they play their coverages, how they kind of drop back in their zones and everything, so to that point, you kind of really think, okay, why wasn't Jeff Foreman one of the key players in that game for Jalen Rayner to hit? And it kind of goes back to what we've said previously on the show about this Arkansas State team, that the offensive line just haven't, you're going to see the sack right there, the offensive line just hasn't been there to protect the young quarterback on these road games. Now, you go back and watch Southern Miss and Stony Brook, he had time, he had the protection he needed. But when we face teams like Troy, you have got, and I cannot stress this enough, you have got to understand the blitz packages, the nickel reads, and what these corners are going to do to try to throw you off your blocking schemes to get to the young quarterback. Because let's be honest with ourselves, Jalen Rayner is probably the best quarterback in this Sun Belt right now when he has protection. When he doesn't have protection, he's almost like a James Blackman 2.0. And I said it last week, don't get on the Rayner hype train yet until he beats Troy. You saw what he did against Troy. Now, he did have a good game, going 15 for 27, throwing 156 yards. But my biggest thing is, and I cannot stress this enough, you got to have a line to protect a young guy like Rayner, because if not, he's going to try to turn a scramble that should be a 25-yard gain, and it's going to end up being a 25-yard loss because he's scrambling backwards instead of forward. But you're seeing the stats on your screen now once again. We allowed 587 yards. We had 25% of a success rate on third down. And Cooper, the biggest thing that I have, which, we'll go back to it later, is why can't this offensive line block these bigger guys? I mean, yes, I know they're big guys, but why can you block against a Southern Miss team that's the worst team in the Sun Belt, which we'll get into later? But when you play Troy, you act like you've never played a down of football in your entire life, and you're letting defensive linemen get to the quarterback less than 2 seconds.
Butch Jones at the beginning of the year, and just overall, if you've read about Arkansas State, the biggest problem for A-State was that O-line. And you saw it last week against Troy. You were bringing up Jalen Rayner wasn't protected. He got sacked 5 times. We didn't even get to their quarterback. And our D-line, just O-line and D-line they have been not good at all this year. We allowed the starting running back for Troy, he rushed 28 times for 251 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, longest run of 69. And if our lines do not get it together, can we even make it to a bowl game? But that's just something we're going to have to talk about later. And back to Jalen Rayner, he did have a good game.
Right.
With what he could produce. And with Jeff Foreman trying to be everyone's hero, Corey Rucker, he did not play well at all. I mean, We're looking at it now, the rock star crisis. I mean, there was plenty of times throughout the game he had wide open passes where he just gave up on the ball or dropped it.
Right, and you kind of jumped the gun a little bit. I wanted to get kind of James's reaction to the Detroit loss, but you're saying it rockstar crisis. And my biggest thing here is, and this goes back to what I said when we came back, stats don't mean everything. You're looking at that right now, and you're a casual football viewer, casual football fan. You're thinking, hey, guys, 12 catches for 179 yards, that's not bad. So what are you saying rockstar crisis for? Here's my thing. You go back to watch when Corey Rucker was originally here at Arkansas State.
Go to the 2021 season.
He was making one-hand grabs. He was rushing all over the place. He was doing everything. But now it just seems like he's scared. And, yes, I know he is coming off an injury from when he was at South Carolina. I get that. But when you're going to a Power 5 school and coming back to a Sun Belt school, you got to at least produce, if not anything, at this point, 300 to 400 yards. Now, again, stats don't mean everything, so it's just every receiver is different. You have different footworks, different progressive, different however they want to catch the ball. But my biggest thing with Corey Rucker here, and before I give it to James, my biggest thing with Corey Rucker, good friend of mine, and I'll tell you how it is. Corey Rucker is playing scared. He acts like he's never touched the field before, and I don't understand what it is. I don't know if maybe something's going on or if something just isn't clicking in that locker room, but it's got to change. They have 3 more wins they have to get if they want to go to a bowl game, which we'll kind of dive into later. If Corey Rucker cannot get his tail from between his legs, we're going to be in for another disappointing season. I know everybody wants to blame Keith Heckendorf, and they want to blame Butch Jones, but don't blame them. Like I said 2 weeks ago, or maybe last week, football is a game of 1v1 matchups. When you break down the game very statistically and very precisely, you're going to see that. But Corey Rucker, for whatever reason, and I cannot stress this enough, is playing like he's never even got hit. But James, I want to hear what you have to say about this Troy loss.
Besides the ball head not working.
I think it's because I wasn't here. I didn't rub it, so I'll take the blame.
That could have been it too. Yeah. My point of emphasis was that defensive side of the ball. Honestly, we were just letting them run through us like we were just like a peewee football team or something. We were not physical enough. They kept getting the ball out on the outside, making 10-plus yards on every run that they got. We allowed 351 rushing yards in this game. That cannot happen. We will not win a football game in that way. Another thing for me was the communication. I just feel like we're not communicating on the defensive side of the football. If you know the ball is going to the left side of the field, shift, say something. I just feel like we literally know we're going to stay right here in the call we've made on the defensive
side. Play it safe.
Play it safe and just and whatever happens, happens. And it has really bitten us in the butt because you see it right here, 351 rushing yards, and out of total, as Cooper and Tristan said earlier, we've allowed 587 yards. We will not win that way. It just cannot happen. And this last one is more so of an opinion thing, Cooper and Tris. We're just not playing with heart when we get down. We go down 14-0 or something. Hey, well, let's just see what we can do. So I just feel like we just really need to pick it up on the defensive side of the ball and as well on the offensive side. So.
Right. And, going back to it, we talked about it last week about the Troy game. If it was going to be a blowout, if it was going to be close, if it was going to be win. But I'm kind of scared for homecoming. I know we got a week to kind of preview that, and we're getting to that later. But I'm just scared that we're not going to have anybody here for homecoming. But Cooper, we're going to take another timeout. We got one more left. We got one more timeout, and then we're going to throw a challenge flag because we make our own rules here. When we come back, we got a lot of fun activities to talk about. Stick around. You guys watching Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV.
At Arkansas State, we want you to go. Go where learning soars, takes flight, and rockets ahead. Go for experiences, internships, and scholarships. We want you to go. Become A-State Maine. Are you ready to go? Go.astate.edu for details.
Welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV in Cooper.
Yes.
We talk about some fun activities.
Yes, we are. Homecoming week.
Homecoming week is coming up. But don't be, if you're wondering, hey guys, what are you going to do for homecoming week? Because, you know, we're your official A-State news source
Yes.
that's going to give you unbiased, unfiltered opinions. Boy, do we have a scavenger hunt for you. We have partnered with the design shop for a what is it, Scavazanza or whatever? I'm struggling today. I'm struggling.
Yeah.
But regardless, 5 fun days. When, you may ask? From October 16th to 20th, right here on the Arkansas State campus. You can win prize, you can test your skills, and you can support local business. I think the official tally of numbers was at a little over 1,200, if not around the range, for gift cards from, bowling, stuff like that. But, kind of breaking news on this a little bit.
Yes.
Now, instead of it just being students that are only involved, the faculty and teachers and staff can all participate in the Red Wolf Roundtable in the design shop, Scavaganza. There we go.
Yes,
I got it.
there you go.
There we go, baby. But, guys, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I know you're thinking, okay, you've seen a lot of the other homecoming, sort of deals. What does this mean to us? But let me tell you this. If you want to get involved on the Arkansas State campus, instead of going home for a weekend, college kids that are listening, even some of the teachers. I know you guys love free stuff. I love free stuff. I know Cooper loves free stuff.
Oh, for sure.
So you can participate in this scavenger hunt around the Arkansas State campus. It will be in walking distance from the dormitories and all the sororities and everything. But on the socials, you got to pay attention to our social and the design shop socials. If you want to know the clues, they're not going to be easy to find. They're going to test your brain a little bit. But guys, you got to get in on this scavenger hunt. You're going to have a lot of fun prizes, and you're going to have a lot of fun going over and trying to find them. But Cooper.
Yes.
This football team. Is it time to kind of start to pack it up and give up on the team?
No, because right now we're sitting at 500. I think this time last year we're probably 2-4, 1-5. I don't know. But this time last year we were thrown in the towel. We were done. But we're 3-3. We have 3 more games that all we have to do is 3 more wins. 3 more wins, and we can get the shiny bowling ball out. And do you see on the remaining schedule 3 wins right there?
Now, Mr. Gavin, I want you to keep this graphic up here real quick so I can kind of look at this and analyze it real quick. Now, you see in these games, you're thinking, okay, what games are winnable? You're seeing some that are questionable, some that are no ways. But that Coastal game, I like it. That South Alabama game, I like it. The ULM game, we all like that one. So that's 3 right there.
Okay.
Well, we're going to go even further. The Texas State game, I like that one too.
Okay, we got 4 wins right now.
We got 4 wins. Realistically, I think we could win all of them but 2.
Okay.
And the 2 being against Louisiana here at home, and I think at Marshall is going to give us a fit.
Yes.
Marshall is like they're number 2 in the East, and of course, Louisiana, they always give us fits. They're not the little brother like ULM is, but I like the remaining schedule for the Red Bulls. Now you're thinking 4-2. What are you thinking? But here's the thing. Football is a tale of unknowns. As long as the team doesn't get too far ahead of themselves, quite frankly, they can win all of them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it. Coastal Carolina, to me, is a must-win game.
Right, I agree.
ULM is a for sure must-win game as well because it's on the road. ULM, they're doing bad this year. You have to win it. And if you can just steal one from either Louisiana, South Alabama, or Texas State, we are looking fine. Last time we played Louisiana here at home, I think it was a 28-21 ball game. So we can play them close here. We've done it before. We just have to get our brand of football. We have to protect Jalen Rayner. And if we can do that, we can sneak out 3 wins, and we can do for something for the first time here on Red Wolf Roundtable with me and you, Tristan, talk about a bowl game for Arkansas State.
Right, and you bring up a very good point that I kind of want to dive into is we're at the bye week, okay?
Yes.
And I'm sure we're going to talk about it a little bit more next week when we kind of preview Coastal. But where can this football team go from here to not only ensure 3 wins, but ensure the rest of it are on the table?
So right now you're thinking, okay, Is it over for the conference championship? No, it's not. It's not. We only have one loss in conference. Troy, they have one loss in conference. So realistically, if we went out, run the table, we could be playing Marshall in the final game for the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. And that's best case scenario. But just to win 3 games, we're not going to talk about winning out. Just to win 3 games, if we can run the football, protect the quarterback, and hold teams under at least 200, I would give them 220 yards rushing, we might have a chance. But you're going to have to buy in. The players are going to have to buy in. It's going to start this homecoming week against Coastal. Players going to have to buy in. But the players, you're seeing it. They're slowly buying in. The fans have to buy in. You have to be there at homecoming. I know we were on our good old A-State win high. Okay, it's gone now. We lost to Troy. But Coastal Carolina, it's homecoming. We can beat them. They haven't won a game in conference yet. Got to show up. And if we do that, 3 wins might come a lot more easier than we think.
Right, and you brought up a good point about the fans buying in. Look, let's just be honest with each other real quick. You know, we like to keep it honest. We like to keep it humble here on Red Wolf Roundtable. I know you guys don't want to go to the game. I know you guys have probably no care in the world about the game of football. I know you probably have no care in the world about doing anything but going to the Pines. I know you probably care about only doing one thing, and that's one thing I'm not going to mention on the show because I like being on air. But instead of going to your sorority, instead of going to your fraternity, instead of going anywhere else, come to Centennial Bank Stadium. If you don't like the score at halftime, you can leave. But for 30 minutes, from the first and second quarter, just come on out. Bring music. Bring your friends. Bring your family. Bring your dogs. I don't care. Just as long as you're at Centennial Bank Stadium when we play Coastal Carolina, get as rowdy and as loud as you possibly want. Well, with the exception, you can yell whatever you want. You literally are going to games for free as being a student here at Arkansas State. I'm not sure if faculty and staff go for free. I'd have to clear that up with Mr. Sullivan. But there's no reason why on that Saturday, I think it's October 21st, you can't come to Centennial Bank Stadium. Halloween's the next week, so you ain't got a Halloween party to go to. I'm sure midterms are going to be over by that point, if not maybe 1 or 2 left. But why not come? If anybody can go on social right now and take a picture, take a selfie, post it on your story, and hashtag Red Wolf Roundtable or tag our Instagram or our Twitter and give me one legitimate, vital reason why you cannot go to Centennial Bank Stadium, I'll understand. But if you use some excuse like, oh, I got to study or, oh, I got to do this, dog, you got one chance to come to homecoming. Seniors, this may be your last chance to come to a game because there's no telling what the rest of the season, the rest of the school year will hold. So why not, October 21st, come support your Red Bulls against Coastal Carolina and get rowdy, get loud. Everybody talks and complains on Yik Yak all the time about this football team and why they suck. Why don't you do your job and make a difference and come support the Red Bulls? And speaking of party animals, we got 2 very loud and obnoxious, very keen on the eye party animals over there at the news desk. But James, Anna, tell me, why should fans come to Centennial Bank Stadium? Give me a reason.
Paul, you just called me a party animal on the air.
I'm confused too.
Like,
Just saying.
I'm professional. Like, man.
Get rowdy, get loud.
James has a job.
I have a job, man. Yeah.
I have 3.
Get loud, get rowdy.
But with us, I think, yes, I agree with Tristan. Come to the Centennial Bank Stadium. I was about to say come to the Pines, but go to both. I mean, it's homecoming. Like,
come tailgate.
Get into the game.
We need this win. We need your support. Like, come and support your Red Wolves. We're 3-3. We definitely have high hopes for the rest of this season. I know I do. Please come out and support your Red Wolves. Like, we need it, and we need it.
I feel like people don't understand how much of an impact it makes on teams when people do show up for their team. So I'm just saying, even though we did, have a little bit of a bad game this weekend, we could turn things over in 2 weeks for homecoming. It's a big game. It's going to be a great day, especially if we have all the fans out there watching. So.
And that's also my birthday weekend, so just come out.
Yeah.
Just come out and
Come out for
come out for
James.
me.
Come
Just
out for James.
Just come out for
Come
me.
out for Jimmy James.
Just come out for me, please. Like, we need that stadium rocking for real, though. Like, we
Right.
need that
Yeah,
stadium.
there's no
like,
reason I should see open season. No.
at all, especially in the student section.
It's
like,
free.
And students, I'm just going to say this. Don't do the thing y'all do every year on homecoming. I've seen it happen 2 years in a row. It looks like we have a good student section. Oh, then they announce the homecoming bull crap, whatever it is, and then they all get up and leave. How about you stay? I promise you there's no one in the Pines looking for you. Just stay. Watch some football. Be a true Southern Arkansas man and watch football.
Well, Cooper, you kind of hit it right there for me. I was going to kind of go along that same route, but you kind of go ahead and steal the words out of my mouth. So real quick, we're going to take our last time out here, and we're going to talk about a little bit more. If it's time, we're going to continue the Pack It Up segment, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the teams in the Sun Belt right here on Red Wolf Roundtable.
ASU-TV, shows like Red Wolf Roundtable, ASU-TV News, Westside Football, and more. Gain real-life experience while doing what you love. Get involved with ASU-TV today.
And hello, and welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU TV. And Cooper, now it's time to talk about some of the teams in the Sun Belt. What
Yes.
teams look the best and what teams look the worst?
Yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and look at A-State side, the West standings for Arkansas State. And so after the loss, you're thinking, okay, we were up there, what happened? Arkansas State fell to fourth at 1-1. We're seeing Troy at 2-1. And looking at the West side, when I said the West is wide open, I mean it is wide open anyone's ball game, because one loss from any team switches up the standings big time. ULM, Southern Miss, they're packing up, it's over. But for Arkansas State, you are not done. I mean, heck, you can almost afford one more loss and still win the West.
Right, so if you're looking at it here, the teams in the second through fifth place all tied at 1-1. Now, we do face, in the East, we'll get that in a second, but we do face number 6 in 3 weeks' time, and we'll kind of be facing a lot of these teams. So let's just say perfect world, Louisiana takes a loss this coming weekend, or next weekend if they're on a bye. That bumps us up a little bit. Let's just say but all these teams ahead of us lose and we kind of jump up. That's going to give a lot of momentum to us because let's be honest with ourselves here. We know the players are looking at these standings. We know they could say they're not looking at them, but we know they are. We know everybody that is a fan that covers the Red Wolves is looking at these standings. We know everybody on Twitter is looking at these standings. And you're thinking, okay, we've seen this before. Why should we care? Again, why should we care? Let me tell you something. Let me talk to you. When it comes down to it, the Red Wolves have a lot of fire and momentum that a lot of people don't know about and they haven't seen yet. But I promise you, like we talked about all day long, you get Jalen Rayner 5 more seconds of protection, I guarantee you Jeff Foreman's going to be in that end zone wide open. I guarantee you Stevenson is going to be open. I guarantee you Adam Jones is going to be open on the sideline. Now, I can't say Corey Rucker's going to be open because, well, he dropped a wide open pass against Troy. Ooh. So we're going to talk about that another day. But this team has all the capabilities to win the conference. If not the conference, their division. And a lot of people are claiming to be realists and saying, okay, guys, well, you claim to be real and honest, brutal, but you're saying Arkansas State's going to win the West when they haven't won more than, 3 games the past 2 years since Coach Jones has been here? Even 4 games when Blake Anderson's last year was here in 2020? But the thing is I don't think anybody understands how good this team really is.
This team, it's young. We're bringing in new guys. I mean, heck, our starting quarterbacks is a true freshman, and you have to keep that in mind. We have a true freshman starting at quarterback, and he's already won us 3 games. 3 games as a true freshman. So if things start clicking really well, the offensive line, they start playing a lot better, we might We're not saying we're going to win the West, but all we're saying is there's a chance. Might be a great chance, but there's a chance. And
so you're telling me there's a chance?
Exactly. And we talked about the West. Now, let's say Arkansas messed around, won the West. Who would they be playing the East?
Not James Madison, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, James Madison, they're in first, but that little asterisk, that means they can't go to a bowl game.
No.
They can't play in the Sun Belt Conference Championship game.
Which, honestly,
kind of stupid.
It's kind of stupid, but it saves us in the long run because if we had to play James Madison for the Sun Belt Conference Championship, we'd probably lose.
Yeah.
But thing is, as you're looking at the East, you're saying, okay,
they're a lot better.
A lot of better teams, a lot of better games. My thing is we're about to play the number 7 team in 2 weeks. Now, it could change depending on who's playing this upcoming weekend, which we'll talk about next week. But my thing is, any team in the Sun Belt for the first time since Butch Jones has been hired by those that hold that power in athletics, for the first time ever, every team, and yes, I mean every team except James Madison, looks beatable. Not by much, but they look beatable. Any game for the rest of the schedule looks winnable. Everybody's saying, okay, Texas State, you got an SEC quarterback there in TJ Finley. Well, if you go back and watch some of the highlights where he was at LSU, especially in the 2020 season, he kind of played very terrible. So that's an easy win. But you look at, like we've said, the rest of the schedule looks very winnable for the Red Bulls. And I know a lot of people doesn't want to believe me because they're all kind of back on the hype train of, oh, well, Butch Jones sucks, he's lost his touch. Again, I wish people
Marshall
could,
is
yes.
the only one I'm putting as a for sure loss.
Well, and that's the thing, too. Like, I wish people understood and seen what we could see. Because if you truly dive into it and you spend hours on end studying every single piece of statistic and news and information, you will know that every team's beatable. Any team's beatable. Even, and I hate bringing up SEC teams on Red Wolf Roundtable, but even the Georgia team looks beatable by somebody. Not by Arkansas State, but by somebody. So, again, you guys got to buy in. And I cannot stress this enough. And this is probably going to be one of the last times I say it until I see it change. I promise. Just buy in. Yes, you may be spending money, but just give a little bit of faith. James's bald head's 3-1. And I don't like it.
3-1.
We have rubbed the bald head, and he's almost been perfect. Why can't anybody buy in?
Yeah.
But speaking of buying in, let's talk about some key players.
Okay.
We talked about a lot of newcomers. Jaquez Cross, one of the newcomers on the running back core, and Tim Hardiman. Jaquez Cross coming from Purdue, 5'9", 189 is a redshirt sophomore, plays running back. Tim Hartman, he's 5'11", 273. Man, that's a big boy. Redshirt sophomore as well, and he plays on the D-line. Now you're thinking, okay, guys, you have their attributes. What about their stats? Okay,
yes.
Let me read them off to you. We got my reading glasses on here.
Okay.
Tim Hardiman, 11 total tackles, 3 tackles for loss for 16 yards, 1.5 sack for 11 yards. And Jaquez Cross, he has 55 carries, 356 total yards, averaging about 6.4, 3 touchdowns. His longest run is 66 yards and averages a game about 58.83. Now you're thinking, okay, that's stats. That's just numbers. What does that mean? Well, Cooper, I think you can attest.
Yes.
Jaquez Cross has been a very good running back for the Red Bulls.
Yes, and something that Jaquez Cross doesn't get talked about enough to me is his liability on special teams on kickoff return.
Okay.
I've seen him many times give our offense great field position because he's able to return it 34 yards, 50 yards from his own end zone. And he needs to put respect on his name on special teams. He's a great running back, but man, seeing him in the backfield on kickoff return, he's a dangerous man. And like they say, mama, there goes that man.
Now, you know, we've seen a lot of special teams exposure plays last year with Johnny Lang, which, you know, shout out Johnny Lang. Hope he does well in this XFL tryout. But the thing is if Jaquez Cross gets open, in open space, gets free from tacklers, even if he makes a couple guys miss, he's 9 times out of 10 going to score. Now you're thinking, okay, and you're still not on the cusp of buying in, and I get that. But again, freshman quarterback, first season running back, 2 veteran, well, 1 veteran receiver. I'm not calling Corey Rucker a veteran until he proves that he is. But the thing is, and this is what I kind of want everybody to understand. If there's anything you take away from this today, I want you to take away this. Going back to what I said about every team in the Sun Belt being beatable, past years we have seen one or two teams completely be dominated where they haven't taken a loss till late in the season by a field goal or maybe by less. My thing is for the first time in a long time, the Red Bulls look very dangerous. Now, they don't look dangerous as they did but probably 10 years ago, but they look dangerous enough to where if someone counts out the Red Wolves, they're going to mess around and find out. And again, I said this last week and I'll say it again. Don't judge me on my winners. Judge me on my losers because I have so few. Arkansas State, anybody that wants to clip this can, because I have faith, because I bought in. I'm all in, so my wrestling fans would say. Arkansas State, if they completely play their brand of football and the offensive line learns how to block once or two times, they're going to win the West. They may not go to the best bowl game, but they're going to go to a bowl game, and they probably will win. But, Cooper, what you got?
Well, I want to say this. For the people that aren't buying in, they might say this. They might ask you, well, Tristan, why should I buy in? We haven't won much the past 3 years. Our O-line's terrible. How is this team going to change overnight? What is the O-line going to do? What is the D-line going to do to stop the run or to protect our quarterback? And they're just like, till they do that, I'm not buying it. What do you got to say to them?
So the thing is, and again, this kind of goes back to, kind of understanding the game of football more than just the casual eye when you're watching it on ESPN or ESPN Plus. You got to understand, outside of Texas State, all these lines are very blockable. All these offensive lines are very block shedding heavy. So when you come to this, you got to take this into account. A lot of these guys are young, as we mentioned. We haven't seen the thing. Hey, here's my thing real quick.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Against Southern Miss, our offensive line looked like the best offensive line in the Sun Belt, minus the Texas State offensive line, because, quite frankly, their guys are bigger than the Dallas Cowboys' offensive line. We're not going to talk about the Cowboys because Cooper loves the Cowboys.
Don't even say that. Nuh-uh.
Anyways, we're fine. We're good. Anyways, the thing is we got to stop running on 3rd and 5. Our offensive line just isn't made to run on 3rd and 5. Our offensive line is not even made to run on 2nd and 10. The really thing you got to understand is once this offensive line learns how to hold their blocks for maybe 4 more seconds, 5 more seconds, where Rayner can really find an open man or even get into the open field himself, that's when everybody's going to say, oh, well, Arkansas State, they're really doing good. Why haven't we bought in before? And I'm here to tell you, it's not too late to jump on the bandwagon. Mm-hmm. We're not going to call it a bandwagon, but we're going to call it a bandwagon because I like the term bandwagon. Thing is, and I'm gonna keep a calm head about this because a lot of people give me a lot of stuff when I go on my rants. So I'm gonna keep a calm, level-headed. Arkansas State needs your support more than ever, and I'm not gonna plug any sort of organizations that support student athletes because that's not what we're gonna do here. But I will say this: prove me wrong. I'm gonna lay down a challenge, and I'm sure, hopefully, if more than 300 people watch the show today, I hope they all execute on this challenge. October 21st, when we play Coastal, for at least 2 quarters, I want to see everybody off their phones, up on their feet, screaming as loud as they can. We saw it against Southern Miss and Stony Brook, so I want to do it here. Cooper, if you don't mind joining me, James Hanna, you could even join me as well if you like. But I want one side to say, Arkansas State. And I want the other side to say, Wolves. Arkansas State.
Red Wolves.
Arkansas State.
Red Wolves.
Now look, if we do that, we're going to be in for some good home cooking.
Yes.
But guys, I'm kind of tired. I want to drink my Coke Zero now.
Okay.
And we don't have a sponsorship, so I can't do it until we're off air. So guys, that was it for this week's edition of Red Wolf Roundtable. Hopefully next week when we preview the Coastal game, we'll talk about why the Arkansas State, no, Red Wolves?
Wolves.
Thank you.
Red Wolves.
We're going to win against Coastal. But guys, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Red Wolf Roundtable. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Dummy.